Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. It's the 7th of March 2022. It's a Monday. The weekend was excellent out here. We had the first time temperatures going above 16 degrees positive. So we had a good time in Toronto. And yeah, today I was scanning the news to see what's new in CRISPR, and there is nothing new to report. And I am thinking that because we are starting this week and everything was in the red last week, let us poke around and look at all available indicators. So I'm going to start off with futures the way they look at before market open. It's around 9:05 in the morning. And by the time I post this video, we would be well into the market, like it's around 11 o'clock or 12 when this will be up on YouTube. So this video is going to start looking at what the futures are indicating. And then we will start looking at the market open and do a technical analysis on all the CRISPR stocks after market opens. And that will be the content for today's news. So hang around and have a look. Let's get started. First, when we look at the cryptos, all of them are looking green, and so that's a good sign. So next, when we look at the relative performance of various asset groups, you'll see that the energy and utilities have been doing very well in the last one day. That would be on the most recent movement among asset classes. But if you go back to 1 week, you'd see that basic materials was also hanging in there. And if you go back further, for the whole month, you'll see the only three categories that are doing better or positive are energy, utilities, and basic materials. And at the very bottom, you would find the consumer cyclicals in most of these in all of these three charts. That is because as inflation starts going up and as the pandemic support starts being taken away, the purchasing power of the market is reduced, and as a result, consumer cyclicals would definitely suffer, and that's what we are seeing out here. So that's the way the assets have been moving. And if we were to go ahead and look at the currency pairings, we will find out that USD is doing much better than the other currencies. I'll show you a subsequent chart in which I'll explain the reasons why. But in this chart, if you look at crude oil, the crude oil is been on a tear. It's at 118.87 WTI. And if we look at our heat map for the market, you'd see that as the week ended on Friday, this is the snapshot of last week, everything was in the red except energy and utilities and defensives like real estate. So that's what the status was at the end of last week. And right now, if I look at the overall futures, the market has not yet opened. The futures show that all the indices are going to open in the red. And we can see that out here in the very end, the VIX is at 32.35. So it's showing volatility is going to spike again. And if you look at the bottom, you would see that we have the US dollar at 98.87. It is positive. And you'll see Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar also not being red. They're all positive or marginally positive. The reason being that the Canadian dollar, Australian, and New Zealand, they are more or less backed by some amount of commodities and oil. Whereas Swiss franc, for example, has taken the biggest beating. So there is a flight to the relative safety of US dollar in the market, and that's why you see US dollar being much stronger. So one more thing that I would like to point out in this chart is if we look at this bond section out here, you have the 30-year, 10-year, 5-year, and 2-year note. And if you look at the data in it, it shows that the differential in yield between a 30-year bond and a 10-year note is reducing, and likewise the differential between the yield for 10-year and a 5-year note is also reducing. That shows a flattening of the yield curve, which is something that the market is not looking forward to, and it's not a good sign. Okay, so that's about all I have with regard to this chart. So having said that, let's go on and look at other catalysts for this week. And I'm looking at three reports basically. On Wednesday 9th at 10 a.m. we're going to have the jobs opening report. And that's very important because that will show whether the strength is going to be present in the economy ongoing, and that it can take the interest rate hikes. A good job openings report with numbers at or above market expectations will be good for the economy because it will show that the economy is strong, but at the same time, it will also give confidence to the Feds to continue with the interest rate hike. At 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, we're going to get crude oil inventory report, and that's going to be very good for us because it's a good indicator for us because if crude oil inventory is at or above market expectations, then the price of oil is likely to temper a little bit. However, if it goes the other way, like if the inventory report shows levels below market expectation, then it's going to push oil prices higher, and that in turn are going to feed into the inflation. So it's a very important indicator that I'm looking forward to look at on Wednesday. On Wednesday at 10:30, around 8:30 a.m., we have CPI for February. This is going to be all the data for CPI for the month of February, that is year on year, month on month, and with regard to the previous month. So what I'm looking for out there is that if CPI is at par with market expectations, then there's going to be no major impact on the market. However, if CPI is above expectations of the market, then the fear of more aggressive interest rate hikes going forward by the Fed will factor into place. Right now, the Fed has already committed 25 basis points, and I think that's likely to happen on Wednesday. But on Wednesday at 8:30 a.m., if we hear the CPI is above market expectations, then the market would start thinking that Fed is going to be more aggressive in the next interest rate hike. So that's going to increase the volatility, and that's going to push down the NASDAQ. So that's what I have right now. Let's wait for the market open and then get started. So here we are. The market is already open. It's around 10 o'clock, 10 past 10. And we can see that in the VXN, this is a long-term chart for VXN with each candle being 1 day. We can already see that our new trend line that we had drawn here is being validated, and we are staying above that. I had hoped it had not been this way, but that's how it is. The spiking of the VIX is around 4.56% so far today, and it has got support from this green line out here, which is a trend line. It has also got support from the 9-day, 20-day, 50-day, and 100-day exponential moving averages. The MACD is looking bullish on the long term, and momentum is also picking up, so which means that there is going to be more spikes in volatility, and that in turn implies that NASDAQ is going to suffer a beating today. And right now, if we look at NASDAQ, again, this is a long-term view with each candle being 1 day. We can see that we have fallen below the earlier support, which was there for us at this, which is this particular red line, that is 13,329.77. We have fallen below that, so that's now a resistance. Our next support happens to be out here, which is this green line at 13,185.70. Our MACD is gone bearish, and our momentum is down. So overall, it's not looking good for NASDAQ right now, but things can change. New catalysts can come into the market and make a course correction. But right now, the way it stands, without any catalyst, it looks like the NASDAQ is going to go down today. And let's go and look at our biotech shares. So if we look at our biotech shares out here, again, we are still on the long-term view where each of these candles is 1 day. And if we look at the watch list that we have here, CRISPR, Regeneron, Caribou Biosciences, and Vertex are on the top right now. And we are seeing the rest of the pack in the red. And I still don't think there is much reason to any of these prices out here, because overall the trend is downwards. So things are likely to change during the day. Let's first look at CRISPR and see what are the support levels that it has for today. And when I look at CRISPR, if I look at, let us say a longer time frame, just going to pull it up. So CRISPR right now it's at a stage where it still has, if it had to go down, it could go down further because we have price history that indicates that it has been much lower, despite the fact that since the early days of 2016, CRISPR Therapeutics has produced a lot of work product and value and collaborations and everything. So it's not a fair comparison, but still, if prices were to fall, they could fall further, given the fact that NASDAQ is going downward and VXN is spiking higher. So there is no rhyme and reason in the market right now, and many people who can't hold the assets right now and are afraid of losing their capital are taking their money out. And they're taking it mostly from non-revenue companies and high-risk assets. So that's why I think that the greens that we are seeing here may not last long. So there's no major logic behind it at this point of time. Now, if we look at all the resistances that we have plotted so far, they are all above, and we don't have any new support lines here. So I'm going to draw a few support lines. So I have plotted the support lines out here. As you can see, there is a support line here at 53.44, and the second support line is at 44.27 for CRISPR. CRISPR MACD is bearish, and momentum is slightly picking up right now, but it is still below average. So let's wait and see what happens with CRISPR today. Region drawn is up 1.69%, and it seems that this green line that we have drawn here probably is not going to have any value. I can see that we have been crisscrossing across it, so I'm going to remove this once and for all, this green line. And what I would think of this chart is that we are in some kind of a consolidation pattern, and we are consolidating between 632.65 and somewhere around 603.84. So that's the consolidation range within which we are moving. So unless we have any major catalyst, we can consider that we are gathering strength out here to move upward. So that's all I have for region drawn today. So I've marked the resistance which have been crossed by the price today as supports. So we have two new supports today, and our latest resistance is going to be this red line at 629.02. Right now we are at 630.31, but I would like to wait until the end of market before marking that as a support, because I very much doubt that we would be able to hold on to that support line out there. Caribou Biosciences is up 1.9%, and it's being constrained by the 9-day EMA, 20-day EMA, and 50 and 100 respectively, but the immediate constraint is from the 9-day EMA. The MACD is bearish, and the momentum is very low, though it is picking up slightly, but I don't hold much on that. So I don't think Caribou can hold on to its positive rating right now. Before the end of the day, it's going to go either flat or slightly red. So if you were to look at Vertex, it is up 1.07% today. It's at 241.22. And that is slightly above our immediate support of 239.52. So hopefully we hold on to that because the MACD is turning bullish, and the momentum is also picking up with plenty of scope to go further ahead. If I go into a one-day time frame and look at it, I can see that we are almost coming to overbought status for Vertex. So that's likely to slow down the price hike a little bit. The MACD is tending towards a signal line. And that's not a good sign. So overall, I think Vertex may end up staying positive for the day by the end of the day, assuming we continue at the current trend and keep on going parallel to the signal line. However, the overall negative market forces are likely to act on Vertex. Let's see how it ends up towards the close of market. IMTX is down minus 0.28%. It's below all the four exponential moving averages. The MACD is absolutely bearish, and the momentum is flat and below average. So further losses in line for IMTX. It's going to end the day in red, maybe minus 10 cents by the end of the day. Pfizer is down minus 0.22%. As I mentioned earlier, Pfizer is also in a consolidation stage. If we go to a one-year time frame, we can see that it's a kind of consolidating sidewards and moving towards this red line, which has been a resistance for us for the longest time. So the real test will be tomorrow. if we are able to go out of this resistance, in that case, we can actually continue the consolidation and start moving upwards, and that will start to look something more like what Vertex has got. So that's what I have with regard to Pfizer. And for today, Pfizer is on a bullish MACD. Momentum is below average and flat. That's the only thing that concerns me. Otherwise, Pfizer is likely to end up the day positive by the time the market closes. Allogene is down minus 0.25%. That's around 2 cents. And we have started falling below our pennant. As you can see here, we are below this red line out here, which, as we predicted, the MACD is flat and bearish. The momentum is non-existent, so Allogene is going to lose more value. So whoever is holding Allogene stocks, I really feel for you, but the charts are predicting more downside for Allogene today. Of course, again, do your own due diligence. This is my personal opinion, and it's not a financial advice, so I would request you to do your own due diligence before taking any action on Allogene right now. ARCG is down minus 0.91%, and it's just fallen below our latest support, which was at 42.62. So I'm going to convert that into a resistance and mark it red. So our next support is at 36.91. And also we have this diagonal line which has been supporting us for the longest time, the diagonal green line. So that's also the next potential support before we hit the horizontal support of 36.91. So that's what I have for ARCG. Further downside because MACD is bearish and momentum is falling. Teladoc is down minus 1.38%. It forms a big component for ARCG. And Teladoc is also showing weakness because the MACD, though bullish, is tending towards the signal line, as can be seen from the lighter colored, smaller histograms. And the momentum is also falling. The RSI is showing that there's going to be further pain for Teladoc. Yeah, it's not looking good for Teladoc today. Our next support is at 54.38, which is this horizontal green line. Next, we look at Novartis, which is down minus 1.61%. That's $1.38. Again, here we are below the last support that we had. I have not marked any of these support as resistance because the prices have been falling very, very fast. I'll do that after this recording. But suffice to know that our next support is going to be this diagonal green line, which has been following us for a long time, right from 25th of November 2016. So I'm hoping that this big support ends up holding back further fall in Novartis, so that we don't have to plot new support lines. If it falls below this, then it's going to be really difficult for Novartis. And I don't think that's going to happen because fundamentally Novartis is a strong company. It's got revenue streams, so I wouldn't worry about that. Illumina is down minus 1.98%. The MACD is bullish but tending towards the signal line, as can be seen from the histograms out here, which are tending to be lighter and smaller. Momentum is also falling, so Illumina is going to lose more before the end of the day. Editas is down minus 2.35%. Again, MACD is, though bullish, is tending towards the signal line. That's not good. Momentum is also falling. So MACD is not looking good today for Editas. And if I look at the support line, 15.37 is the immediate support for Editas. Right now we are at 15.71. So I hope the support holds for Editas today. Verve is down minus 3.18%. And the MACD has just turned bearish for Verve. Momentum is also falling, so it's not looking good for Verve today. Beam is also down minus 1.79%. That's $1.14 down. Our last support line, which was at 65.12, has fallen. So I'm going to mark that as a resistance. Our next support is this diagonal green line, which has followed us all the way from 14th of July 2021. So that's what I have here for us. So Beam is going to suffer a bit more pain today. Intelia is down minus 3.23%. That's around $2.10. It has fallen below our long-term support trend line, which had been with us from 28th July 2021. So this is really bad for Intelia. So I think I'll plot some new support lines for Intelia today. We have minor support for Intelia at this green line out here. which is 60.88. Right now we are at 62.57, and subsequent support is which is at 56.47. So those are the two support levels I have for Intelia going forward. Let us see what happens today. I think it's going to fall and it's going to test the 60.88 support line. PACB is down minus 4.73%, and we have fallen below our last support, which was at 10.19. So that's now a resistance. The MACD, though bullish, is tending towards the signal line, and the momentum is also falling. So PACB is going to lose more today. When we look at Bluebird, it's down minus 11.90%. This is the biggest loser for the day. The MACD is bearish, and our momentum is also absolutely weak. Even though we see a green candle here, all that it indicates is that we had opened up much lower, and we have gone up for the day from the very low opening. So some investors are thinking that probably Bluebird has gone to the very bottom and it's now time to buy. And they have come in and they have started putting money into it and pulling it upwards. We'll have to wait and see whether that is sufficient to halt the fall in Bluebird. But right now, Bluebird is really, really weak, and it's not looking great because the MACD is not turned. Let us go and look at the one-day time frame. And in the one-day time frame, you can see that the MACD has just about turned bullish, and the momentum is above average and picking up. So probably we might see a little erasing of this negatives out here. Maybe we end up minus 20 or something like that before the end of the day. So that's all I have for you guys today. It's a very bad market, but hopefully we have some catalyst coming up and things can turn around, because the fall has been very steep. It's likely that many investors will think that this is the bottom and start buying up. That can give us what is called as a dead cat bounce. So any greens that you see today is not permanent. It's not sustainable. So I would probably wait and watch what happens to the market. We are not out of the woods yet. Let's look forward to Wednesday and those indicators that I talked about and see if they can give us any positive catalysts. So that's about all for me from me for today. You guys have a great day. Please don't forget to put a like there. And if you're here for the first time in this channel, please consider subscribing us. It's absolutely free for everything CRISPR. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.